Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We're going to give a chance for the live attendees to pop in. I am Jen Herman. Today, we're going to be talking about optimizing your Instagram profile as a realtor. I love this session. I hope that you are going to love it as well. Some of you may be familiar with me. We'll do a quick little introduction here in a moment. I'm just giving a minute for all the live attendees to pop in, and then we'll dive into everything. If you are familiar with my sessions, there's not a lot of housekeeping. We just get right into the good stuff. So I don't want to start off too quick just for those who are popping in. So for those of you who are here live, you are welcome to put any of questions you have in the Q&A. We will have time at the end to answer any of your questions. And honestly, that's my favorite part. I love doing the questions because I get to answer what actually matters to you. I can sit here and talk theory and practical strategies all day, but answering your questions is what makes it that much more fun. So if you get the chance, please drop those questions into the Q&A section, and I'll pull those up at the end. And as we get everything going here, I'm just making sure I've got everything. There we go. Trying to move the mouse around. So for those of you who are familiar with me, I am Jen Herman. You've probably heard my voice before here with the Orange County Real Estate Group before. We've had the pleasure of working together in the past. I was also recently at CAR up in Anaheim. Was that last month? Yeah, it was September. I'm like trying to keep track of my days over here, but that was super fun. And I know some of you were there as well. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Jen Herman. That's Jen with 2 N's. And you can find me pretty much everywhere around the internet as Jen's Trends. I started a blog over 10 years ago as Jen's Trends in social media, and it evolved into much more Instagram focused. I have been doing Instagram, teaching Instagram, and working with businesses of all different types and sizes, and then grew into the real estate space, teaching Instagram to the real estate agents as well. So I get it. I understand your industry. I do understand the nuances and some of the difficulties that you face compared to something like a standard, mom and pop shop or a cafe or a restaurant or a florist or those types of businesses. Your industry is very different. And I do recognize a lot of those differences, having worked with so many real estate professionals and spoken at many, many real estate conferences around, definitely around the US, but also worked with other countries as well. So I come to you bringing as much expertise as I can, but like I said, at the end, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. If you're like, hey, can you clarify that? Or how would I use this? Feel free to ask. I want to be there to help you through this. All right, so with that, let's get started. So the big question is, why does Instagram matter in the real estate industry? And it's not just because somebody told you that you had to use Instagram. That is not the answer. Although for some of us, that's how we get started. It's like, well, my boss said I had to do it, or well, everyone else is doing it, and that's where I need to be. But there's actually a lot of reasons why it's so valuable to you and to your industry. So first of all, with it's actually over 2 billion monthly active users, your audience is on Instagram. And I want you to be aware of that. This is not something where, even if we could look at TikTok or other platforms, they're so saturated. There are so many people that your audience is there. And your target age demographic for those home buyers and sellers, that kind of 35 to 55 demographic, that is the second largest demographic on Instagram. So the largest demographic is under 35, but the second largest demographic is actually the 30, I think it's considered like 38 to 45 is that demo. So those are your people that you're trying to reach. Those are those first-time home buyers. Those are those, smaller, bought a condo, now ready to move into the single-family home type. Those are those people who are looking to move to pursue careers and need to sell and move, or moving into the area that want to buy. Your target audience is one of the largest demographics on Instagram. This stat, number 3, tends to vary, depends on the stats and data you look at. I've seen it as low as 35, and I've seen it as high as like 72. So somewhere in that range. Users are spending an average of, give or take, about 45 to 55 minutes a day on Instagram. That is a lot of time that you have the chance to be getting in front of your audience, to be able to actually connect with them and have them see who you are, not just the properties you have available, but who you are. And we're going to talk a lot more about that over today's session and next week's session, because yes, we have a follow-up to today's. Today, we're talking about optimizing your profile. Next week, we're going to talk more about the content strategies. So the other three reasons why I love Instagram, and this is from a business perspective more so, but traffic from Instagram has a lower bounce rate than all other social media platforms. Now, to put this in context, if you're not familiar what a bounce rate is when someone comes to your website and immediately leaves. That's a bounce. They bounced off. So high bounce is bad, low bounce is good. Low bounce means they stayed on your website. And traffic from Instagram is virtually a 0% bounce rate, meaning people that get there want to be there. They've had to work to get there. You've earned that click and they're going to stay. It's not like other social media like Facebook or LinkedIn where people are scrolling and they're fat thumbing and clicking on a link by accident, or it's kind of a clickbaity thing and they go in and click on it and they're like, that's not really what I wanted to see. Traffic from Instagram is higher quality. You may not get as much traffic from Instagram, but the quality will be significantly better. It's also one of the strongest community building tools for your brand. Now, of course, every social media platform has the capability of being a strong community building tool. Absolutely, not anything against other platforms. But Instagram, the way it was built, and although it has evolved and it's not quite the same, is a very unique way to connect with people. I know so many stories. I mean, how many times have we heard about like they slid into my DMs and that was how we became friends, or otherwise? I have friends that I literally will stay at their homes and I met them on Instagram. Like this is one of these things where it's been years and we've built friendships and relationships that have stood the test of time. And now we literally will stay in each other's homes. And it's all because of an Instagram post that we initially connected over. And you can take that same mentality, that same capability of community and build that with your potential clients or existing clients and build those kinds of relationships that have so much long-term value. Also, Instagram has some of the highest engagement rates for all social media. Now, I've always brought this stat up. I've brought this stat up for years and years. And I love doing this in a live audience where I can actually see your responses. But since we're here on a webinar and you can't actively participate with me in this way, I will tell you what the average engagement rate is. For the sake of argument, 3 years ago, it used to be about 3%. And again, at the time, that was the highest engagement rate of all social media. Now, 3% doesn't sound like a lot. And engagement rate is likes. Usually we'll look at like divided by your number of followers. So if you have 100 likes on a post and you have 1,000 followers, you have a 10% engagement rate. That's usually what we use for the metric. So the average 3 years ago was 3%. I will tell you it is down. It is significantly down. It's about 1% right now, which is still, believe it or not, the second highest engagement rate of all social media. So it's still actually really good. The average engagement on Facebook is 0.17%. The average engagement on Twitter, pre-X data, now it's not publicly shared in the same way, so we don't have accurate data, but when it was Twitter, it was 0.01% was the average. The only thing that would be better than Instagram is TikTok, and even that we don't actually have an accurate reflection because they track data in a different way. Likes and views and things are calculated differently, and you can get a lot of likes and not have a lot of followers. So it's a very different metric in terms of how that is calculated. But technically, TikTok would have better engagement on average than Instagram. But Instagram, it's still, like I said, at 1% is exponentially higher than most. And if you are what we consider a small business as a real estate professional, you should easily be getting 5 to 10% engagement on your post. That's not unheard of, and that's something that is very, very realistic. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your content. And if you're not in that 5 to 10% range, that's okay. If you're higher than 1%, you're better than average. You've got this. And with the strategies we're going to talk about today and next week, we're going to help you get higher and closer to that 10% range. All right, so with that in mind, we're going to talk about optimizing your profile. We're going to go through a lot of stuff in the next 30-ish minutes. Feel free at any point to jot down any notes and everything. You will be getting copies of this slide deck. So if you don't want to copiously take notes. Don't worry, you'll have copies of the slide deck. But at any point, feel free to jot down anything or even take a photo, take a screenshot of this as you're going, if it's going to help you remember some of the things that we are talking about. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind when it comes to your profile as a whole, your Instagram account should be a customer service vehicle. You need to be prepared for questions in your direct messages, and we're going to talk about DMs more towards the end of today. But it's important that you understand this is a customer service vehicle. People will call, people will text, people will DM you on Instagram, people will leave comments on your posts, and they expect answers. This is part of how we communicate. And in your role, this is how people are going to reach out to you. So be prepared to use it in that way. If someone else is managing your social media for you, make sure that either they know how to respond on your behalf or how to let you know so that you can actively be able to respond to those comments, those questions and things as they come in. Also, your Instagram account should look like your target audience. This is really important. Now, you guys are in Orange County. You have, for the most part, we all know the stereotypical Orange County, what people think Orange County is. Now, I lived in Orange County for 3 years, so I'm not naive to this. I know how different it is when you cross from Newport over to Santa Ana and how much you go through in just those, 6 miles of distance. So I understand how it is, but your target audience needs to know that you understand that. And so whether that's age, race, lifestyle, community, if you are targeting that coastal community, if you're over there at Newport Coast, if you're over there in, even if you're down further south, like in San Clemente, in those areas, you have a certain type of community that you are reaching. If you're going further inland, if you're in Orange, if you're out in RSM, if you're out in those areas, you have a different community. Doesn't mean they're not beachy, but they have a different lifestyle. And you want your content to reflect the community that you serve. If you are targeting those customers who are spending $5+ million on a home, your content and your account should look like it. If you are going after the clients who are going after that, 750 to 1.2 range, your content should look like that. You want to make sure that you're targeting that ideal audience and that your messaging is consistent with who you are attracting as your buyers and sellers. Also, your Instagram account should be photos and videos, not graphics and stock photos. Please, if you are just taking a PDF or a graphic created in Canva and slapping it up on Instagram, stop. It is not serving you. It is not going to get you results. It needs to be pretty photos. It needs to be videos. You can put all the context in your captions. We will be talking a lot more about this in next week's session, but I really want to drive this home that you cannot take what you're putting up on LinkedIn, what you're putting up on Facebook, what you're putting up on your emails and your websites and put it on Instagram and expect it to convert. It will not work the same way. Oh, let's try that again. There we go. All right, so looking at your profile, I want you to take some time. This is a homework assignment. We don't have enough time to go through and actually workshop this, but this is going to be your homework assignment to work on your profile. There are 5 key areas that you want to be aware of to make sure that this is set up for success. When done properly, everything else that we talk about from here on out today and next week is all going to filter back to this properly formatted and optimized profile to get you the leads and get you the referrals that you actually want as a realtor. So the first thing you want to look at is your name and your username. The name is the bold text underneath the profile photo. The username is that text above at the very top of that screenshot. Your username is how you are known on Instagram. It's also your URL. I am Instagram.com/Jens_trends. That's my username. That's my URL. Please do not change your username. If you've been using Instagram for any period of time, your username is what it is. If you change it, you lose that URL and any backlinks, and you have to change it everywhere. So don't change your URL, but your name can be changed. So in this case, Rita has just her name. That's perfectly fine. Although I would love to see her throw in something with a little bit more keyword focus, something that talks about the fact that either the area that she serves. So in this case, she's saying, that she's in Mission Viejo. So maybe that's the area that she serves, and she could have that in her name, or something about being a realtor, having something else as a keyword focus in that component is very helpful. It's not mandatory, it's not necessary, but it is helpful. You want a good profile photo. I love this photo of Rita. She looks fun. She looks relatable. She looks approachable. She's in a kitchen. She looks like a person that I actually can connect with. It's not the overly stylized, traditional real estate photo that we all know, the arms crossed, the pose. It's not that. This is her being much more casual and approachable. Now, in this case, it's not super close up on her face, and that's okay, although sometimes we do want to bring it in a little bit tighter because these photos do shrink down really small. As a real estate professional, I want it to be your photo. If people are connecting with you as their realtor, I want them to know what your face looks like. Now, that being said, if you are running an agency, if you're running a brokerage and you have multiple people on your team and you don't want it to be just your photo to represent a team, that's fine. You can use your company logo, but try to keep that logo as simple as possible. Eliminate as much text, have it just be the graphical component of the logo, not some super complicated, overwhelming logo. All right, your homework assignment is going to be the bio description. I'm going to talk about this more in just a minute. I'm not going to dive into too much on this, but your bio description is going to be your key to success. This is also going to help when it comes to search and making sure that you get found in the right searches. So we want certain key things in here. We want the words that are related to the location you serve, the geographical location, the type of buyer you serve, the type of home or community that you are working with. We want those keywords in there. We also want it personalized. We want to connect with people as humans. I don't want all of the corporate jargon. Yes, I know you're going to put your, the DRE number and all that. You're going to put these certain requirements into your bio description. I get it, but let's try to keep it personal. And that's why I love Rita's, because she says real estate is her passion. So she's talking about this from a personal perspective. She's a mom of 2 boys and a lab. So there's a connection, she's a dog mom, a boy mom. She's becoming humanized. She's the wife of a retired fireman. Now you have that next stage of personalization. And then she goes into the fact that she's the owner of Costa Canyon Real Estate in Mission Viejo. So she's got this wonderful category about who she is as a human, as a mom, as a wife, and her business. Now, she could put the business part up front. I'm totally okay with that too. But I do like that this is a very personalized, very approachable description. It's not just a whole bunch of list of data. It doesn't talk all about her sales and her history and how many homes sold or any of that. It's about who she is as a person. So keep that in mind. The URL is super important. Technically, you can get 3 URLs. You get 1 URL and others. And you can list actually up to 3 in here now on Instagram directly. But we're going to talk more about another alternative in just a minute. So I'll save that for that. And then your contact info, super important that we have your contact info in here. You can have call, text, email, and directions. If you want to use call where people are going to call you, by all means, put your phone number on there. But realize that the phone may ring at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this is public to anybody in the world. I know real estate agents love to put their phone numbers everywhere. Go for it if you feel comfortable with that. Otherwise, maybe put a Google phone number where you can turn it on and off in terms of what time people are going to call you, or just have it so they can't call, but they can text. Or you don't even have to have that at all. You can have just email as an option if you want, or directions if you want people coming to your physical agency office or that sort of thing. So you can put all that contact information in there. You have to have at least 1 contact. Instagram doesn't make you have at least 1 contact. I'm telling you, you have to have at least 1 contact method. As a real estate agent, we want to make sure people can get a hold of you. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about that bio. This is another example. This is actually for an apartment condo company. This is out in Texas. And this is a bit of an older screenshot, obviously. But I love this one because there's 3 things that you want to convey in your description of your bio. Who you are, what you do, and what's in it for them. 3 key things. Who you are, what you do, what's in it for them. And so in this case, what they are is a luxury student living property. What they do, they're currently accepting leases. what's in it for them? The person that is reading this, in this case, they have a rooftop pool. That's kind of great. And it's less than 300 steps from campus. We all remember being in college. We all remember the late nights and the later mornings. And the closer you are to campus, the later you get to sleep in, right? That's a selling point. So that's something that's what's in it for them. The key to keep in mind when you are writing this is people are only going to look at this the first time they come to your profile. Once they're following you, they're probably never going to read your profile again. And if they do, it's not going to change anything for them. They're already following you. They already know who you are. So we want to make sure that this is written for those first time visitors. It's your 30-second elevator pitch. You have 150 characters to tell them who you are, what you do, and what's in it for them. That's why this is a homework assignment, because most of us are going to be horrible at doing this ourselves. We are horrible at writing about ourselves. It's just reality. I didn't even write my own bio, people, trust me. So reach out, ask your colleagues, your spouse, other people in your office, any of your clients, and say, if you were to describe me in 3 words, what would they be? If you had to write 2 sentences about me as a professional, what would they be? Get people's feedback and figure out if there's a clear trend. Are you known for a certain thing? Are you active with certain community environments or charities or activities? Do you have something that you are passionate about from any of the personal side of your things? Like, are you a marathon runner? Are you a surfer? What are those things that you are passionate about, that you are known for? And how can you package that into your bio? So that's your homework assignment. The other thing I want you to keep in mind when you are doing this is to just look at the fact that the image on the left is what a lot of people will see versus the image on the right is my full bio. A lot of people will see this truncated bio. So we want to make sure that what is most important is at the top. So in this case, I have that I'm an international speaker and consultant, ranked best to learn IG from. I'm a dummies author, straight talking. Now, if I reverse that, if I had single mom, high heel wearing, straight talking dummies author, if those were the 4 things you saw, what would you think I was involved in? Probably fashion, something not Instagram related. So it's important that the first things they see are the best description of who you are as a realtor and what that means for someone seeing your profile, assuming they don't click the ... more to read the whole thing. All right, so I talked about that link in bio solution, and I want to make sure that you grasp this concept as an alternative to something like Linktree. A lot of you might be familiar with something like either Linktree or Link in Bio and these alternative third-party tool solutions. Nothing wrong with them. If you're using them, by all means, enjoy it, work with it, go for it. But this is better. Okay, so what I want you to consider doing is working, if possible, if you have your own standalone website that you have the ability to add pages to, you need to have the ability to add a page to your website, whether it's through you or your web designer. You want to have a dedicated landing page. So if you go to my Instagram profile, if you go to Jens_trends and you click on the link, I believe it's like jenstrends.com/Instagram links or something. When you click on that, you land on a landing page that is mobile optimized. It is not formatted for desktop because 90-some-odd% of the people coming to your profile are going to come from Instagram on a mobile device. We want it mobile optimized. No pop-ups, no massive distractions and banners and things all over the page. Super simple. And we're going to put 5 to 6 options that you want to promote on Instagram. So that might be obviously your current listings, upcoming open houses. You could have one for your blog. You could have one for community news. You could have one for Meet the Team. Boom, there's your 5 things. If you've got like a free opt-in thing to get people onto your email list, maybe it's a free ebook or a survey or something like that you could have that on there too. All of these are just generic buttons. They could be images or photos or just text buttons, whatever you want to do. Super simple. It's basically recreating Linktree, but we're doing it on our own website. So when someone clicks on the link, they land on your website. From there, they click on one of those options. They can read all your latest blog posts. They can see all your current listings, etc., etc. Here's why this matters. The moment they click on that link, they are on your website. You own that traffic. If you're using Linktree and they go to that button and they click on that link and they're on that page, they're on Linktree. You don't own them yet. If they don't choose one of those options and they leave, you never see that traffic. You will never get that on your website. But If it's on your website, you on that landing page, the moment they click on it, you own that traffic. You can see where they navigate. You can see how many times they go to different pages. You can see how long they stay on them. You can see where if there's conversion set up in your Google Analytics, you can track through that. And if you have your Facebook pixel set up on your website, which you absolutely should, you can now retarget all of that traffic with Facebook and Instagram ads, all because they clicked on that link and landed on that page. Even if they never do anything else, you can retarget them with ads. So it gives you so much more power and control over that traffic versus giving that all to Linktree, which has been known on occasion to go offline, in which case you lose all your traffic. But as long as your website is getting all that traffic, you're not losing it to anybody else or any third-party traffic issues. So just keep that in mind. Again, this would be a homework assignment for you to take for action working with your web designer. If you have the capability to go into your WordPress site and add this, you can easily create this. All right, so one more thing I want to talk about on your profile is pinned posts. I was super excited when this launched. I was like, I thought this was the greatest thing ever. And like nobody was talking about it. I'm like, this is a big deal, people. So I want to make sure you understand how to use pinned posts. So you can pin up to 3 posts to the top of your profile grid. So you can kind of see, it's kind of hard to see in the first 2 images on this screenshot, but on the third one, you can see the white thumbtack in the upper right corner. Those are my 3 pinned posts. You can swap these out to whatever you want as often as you want. I don't recommend leaving one up there for too long, like kind of 3 months-ish is usually about enough, because at that point it's like, well, it's kind of outdated. Like, is that still relevant? But this would be great for pinning a current open house posting, listing your current listings that you have. If you have a carousel with like current listings, you could have that pinned there. And then you could have one for like a meet the team. You want to think about these, again, as first-time visitors. Someone's going to come to your profile. They've read your optimized bio. They're like, oh, this person's kind of cool. Let me see what their content is. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to click on that first post. So we want those first 2 to 3 posts to be for those first-time visitors, to tell them what they need to know about you as a real estate agent, about the person that's going to be working with them to buy or sell their home, about what availability you have, about who you are, resources or tips or tutorials you have to share with your audience. These are things we want to make sure that we are sharing with them in a way that is valuable to them, that they're going to want to know more and be more likely to follow you. So use this strategically. Again, when you pin this, it's going to take it out of the feed and it's going to put it up top. When you unpin it, it puts your post right back down where it originally was chronologically, and you can pin a new one in, so you can change them out as often as you want, and you don't lose that content. But it does take it out of the flow and put it up top until you unpin it and it goes back where it was. But these are super valuable for those first-time visitors to get that information out to them. All right, so let's talk about optimizing for search. This is something that is really important now on Instagram. It wasn't a big deal a few years ago. The last 3 years have totally changed the platform. I'm telling you, keyword search is part of that. So back in the day, we only had hashtag searches. Now we have keyword search. This is not long form keywords, okay? This is not things to do while I'm visiting Orange County. No, ma'am, that's not going to get you anywhere. But if you did like, if you did Costa Mesa restaurants, that would bring up results. So we want to make sure that we're formatting our content to optimize for those 2 to 3 keywords that people are looking for. Not necessarily what you're thinking about, but what people are actually looking for. So I can tell you, people are not going to go in there and find you for things like real estate, but they might find you for something related to Newport Beach homes, or, Orange County kitchens or something like that. Those are the kind of things that people are going to be looking for. So when you're doing this, again, simple phrases, 2 to 3 words, Instagram is going to look at 3 key sources. They're going to look at your profile description, which we just talked about, so we want that optimized. They're going to look at your post captions, what is written in each of your captions for all of your posts, and then for each individual post to show up in the search. And they're going to look at your hashtags. Now, we do not have enough time today and even next week to talk about hashtags, but I have my super secret recipe that I tell everybody. Feel free to scan that QR code that's on your screen right now. That will take you to my hashtag strategy, and that will walk you through how to use hashtags strategically. Don't worry about retroactively going back. Just use this strategy going day forward. Yes, you still need them. Yes, they're still valuable because they play into this in terms of telling Instagram where to categorize and place your content. So what this looks like is when you have got a post. So I did the search for kids crafts. It's going to look at those 3 key areas. So in the caption itself, it's seeing things like little hands, handcraft, my kids, handmade gift. Those are all things that are telling Instagram that this post in and of itself is about handcrafted things for kids, kids crafts. Then she's got her hashtags, crafts for kids, kids crafts, kids Christmas crafts. So there's all this content in there telling Instagram, yep, this is categorized. That's where she's using her hashtags. That's what this content's about. Okay, that's what the post is about. But what is her content about? What is all of her stuff about? Well, when you look at her profile description, she's a mama. AI is smart enough to know that relates to children. And she has the word crafts in her profile. So her profile is telling you she's got to do with mom, kids, crafts, handmade, all those sorts of things. That's telling Instagram all of her content is likely about this. This is going to be a high quality search result to populate for kids crafts. So for example, if you're doing this and you are always posting about real estate related content, but you go to the Orange County Fair and you're posting about the Orange County Fair and you maybe have a really good post about some of the rides or the food or something, it doesn't mean that your post won't show up in searches for the Orange County Fair, but it's probably not going to be like the #1 result because all of your posts is about real estate and homes and listings. So it's not like the best ultimate result, even though it may be a really good post. So just kind of keep that in mind with what do you want to be found for and how are you crafting all your content to serve that end goal? If you want people finding you for a specific component of real estate, for first-time home buyers or only for condos or only for beachside communities, we want that terminology and those kind of keywords consistently throughout your content, in your captions, in your hashtags, and in your profile description. Okay. Now you're optimized your profile, everything's good. You're like, oh my gosh, Jen, this was a lot. And we haven't even talked about what I'm doing with my content. So let's talk really quickly about some content strategies. We will be talking a lot more about this next week. So make sure you come back for next week's session because we're going to go much deeper into the how to create the right types of content. So this is a super technical term, super technical. You got to make it Instagrammy. There you go. That's all you need to know. What does that mean? Well, it means focusing on things from a different perspective, making it pretty. We do not want to walk in to a showing and go, click, click, click. That's not creative. We want to take our camera, turn it upside down, put it right down on the floor and shoot down the length of those long hardwood floor lines. Put it up high and shoot up into the chandelier. Put it like go up. In this case, this photo was taken from either the second story or like maybe even the roof where you're not eye level with the pool, but you're up high and you can see the expanse of the yard and the view and the sunset and the trees. It makes it Instagrammy. It makes it pretty. We want to focus on things with different perspectives, not just a traditional eye level point and shoot. Play with your angles, play with colors. When it comes to the home component, don't just pick the front of the house, that curb shot, okay, there we go. There's the front of the house. Pick the best features of the property. Pick that amazing chef's kitchen or that amazing expansive walk-in closet, that beautifully renovated, front patio that just opens up into a beautiful front yard or whatever it is, whatever that best component is, showcase that. Make that the picture that gets their attention. And then in a carousel or something else, you can have all the additional pieces, but we want to make sure that we're picking the best components of a property, not just that standard curb shot. Make sure that you're writing captions that talk to what people relate to. So emotions, relatable aspects. This is an example where, again, it's very kind of real estate-y, but it's also emotionally, appealing. So they talk about it's the epitome of luxury and location. Chef's kitchen, walk-in pantry, a beautiful owner's suite with a gas fireplace, a stunning backyard oasis. And then it tells you all about, the rest of the property, but they're using words that make you go, oh, I want that. And it's speaking to a luxury buyer. It's speaking to people who have a certain expectation of taste, decor, and lifestyle. They're using certain words to appeal to that, being the target audience. So keep that in mind. It's not just, real estate lingo, like it's a charming cottage, but they're using words and phrases that have an emotional connection and that relate to the target audience. It's not just bullet point listing out 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet. They're actually telling you a story with this language. So keep that in mind with your captions. Provide decor tips and advice. Go above and beyond. It is not just about the home listings. We want to be that resource for our audiences. We want to give them value. Give them decor tips and advice. We're going into the holiday season. Right now it's Halloween. All the things related to that type of seasonal, the fall changes, which, let's face it, in Southern California, it ain't changing that much. It's still 90 degrees today, right, people? I'm like, come on. We get it. I'm in San Diego. I get it. But it's also one of those things where you want to embrace fall, right? Like, you should see my front yard. My tutor showed up the other day and she was like, girl, you do Halloween. And I'm like, it is pumpkins everywhere. I don't do the scary Halloween. I do like pumpkins everywhere. So embrace that, show how to do that. Where are the best pumpkin patches to go? Where can they get the best solutions for holiday decor? Or, be able to pick out the best poinsettias come Christmas, or Christmas trees, or whatever it is. Be that advice for them. That goes into this one as well for helpful tips in local companies. If you've got you're a realtor. If you've got the plumbers and the landscapers and the handymen and the people that you trust, use them as referrals, share them, give people resources on who they can reach out to in their local community. Give them helpful tips on how to improve their home, how to make it better, whether it's just for their own personal enjoyment or to prep for selling. Being able to do quick and easy things to increase their home value. Provide those resources for them. Education, believe it or not, people on Instagram still want to learn things. So provide that educational content. Know who your target audience is. If you're targeting those first-time home buyers, they don't know what they don't know. And they don't know, what forms do they need to know? Are there grants and opportunities available to them? How much do they need to put down? How much can they afford? They have all these questions. Create this educational content over and over again. It can be tips and advice for your local geographical area, things that are going on in the industry, things related to that target audience. Answer those commonly asked questions. You know what they are. Answer them until you are blue in the face. I have literally talked about my hashtag strategy 8 billion times. I promise you, it is a lot. And every time I talk about it, people go, oh, that's so good. And I'm like, I know. I'll keep talking about it. So don't stop answering. Just because you answered a question 3 months ago doesn't mean you can't re-answer that question now. Your audience is always changing. And just because they learned it doesn't mean they don't need a refresher on it. Provide those resources for more details, for support. Give them the educational information they need. It's going to make you valuable to them. Create the shareable content. I talked about, Halloween, and you guys will relate to this. I moved here from Canada 20 years ago. Where in Canada, we carve our pumpkins a good 7 to 10 days before Halloween. Like the weekend before is when you usually do your pumpkins, and we carve them and we put them out and they stay outside fully carved for a week. Well, I made that mistake the first year I moved to California, and I carved a pumpkin, 5-6 days before Halloween. 4 days before Halloween, my pumpkin was dead, wilted in, destroyed, melted, gone, done. Because it's 90 degrees outside, and our pumpkins, once they're carved, can't survive. So this was a post that Morgan King down here in San Diego had shared about ways to keep your pumpkin longer. That's shareable content. That's, again, it's education, it's resource-based, it's locally relevant, but it's shareable. And shareable content is incredibly valuable because it gets you dark social, gets you a lot of shares, a lot of times into direct messages. A lot of content will be shared out to, friends and family and those sorts of things, but they also get shared into stories. This is what gets you new reach and distribution. It helps you grow your audience and gets people to come over and go, oh, that was interesting, let me know more. They go to your profile that we just optimized. You're getting new followers. So we want to make sure we're creating shareable content. We also want to make sure that you are making it your own. This is super important. That I don't want you taking stock photos. I don't want you just pulling photos off of Google. I want you to get in the habit of creating your own archive of unique images that you own. They're yours, they're copyrighted, you have the property of them. One of the things I always tell my clients, I'm like, this thing lives in your hand. I know it does because you're a real estate agent and it never leaves your hand. I know that. But keep it handy to get in the habit of taking photos everywhere you go. If it is sunny today, take a photo of a beautiful blue sky. Take a photo of the palm trees. You go to the beach with the kids on the weekend, take photos of the beach. You go out for dinner, take photos of the architecture or your dinner or a cute, unique sign or the clouds in the sky, whatever it is. Start taking photos of all the things. We want to look for, like I said, flowers and trees during different seasons. And I know we don't get a lot of like changes in the seasons, but I'll drive up to Oak Glen, which is like kind of a little east of Orange County, and go up there for the fall changing of the oak trees where we kind of get a little bit of yellow leaves and fun things. Go and take photos of the seasonal changes. Take photos of the rain on your window on a day when it's raining, or when it's in your car and it's raining. Take photos of the rain when it rains. Take photos of the buildings and architecture that you experience, construction sites. You walk out and you're visiting a new development or a new construction site. Take photos of the construction site. Home repairs and upgrades. Is your client remodeling their home? Take a bunch of photos. You're like, Jen, what am I going to do with all these photos? You're going to put them into buckets on your phone. You're going to put into categories for all these different things. Because what happens if today it's 90 degrees and sunny and gorgeous, and I want to schedule out content or put something in my newsletter about that rainy day fund, and I want a good rainy photo? Well, guess what? When we had our 9 months of rain this last year, I have a lot of rain photos available, and I can go pick the one that relates to me, to what I want, to that messaging, and I don't have to go search through Google. I don't have to make sure it's a copyright-free image. I own the photo. So I want you to get in the habit of creating those archives of content that you can use over and over again at your leisure. You're always on the go. You're at all these properties. You've got this thing in your hand. I know you do. So types of things you can be grabbing on the go. Property tours and photos. Start taking photos and videos as you're going through properties. You can turn these into reels, collages, carousels, all these different types of things. Get content related to local developments or activities. Is there local construction going on? Are they building up a new strip mall? Is there all the construction going on the freeway? I mean, let's face it, the 5 coming up through San Clemente, and we're coming up in through like Mission Viejo, Aliso Viejo, and all that construction that is still going on. What's going on with it? How can you talk about that and what that's going to mean for access points and development, those sorts of things. Quick tips on decor or trends. You're at the grocery store, you see all the pumpkins, take a couple photos, create some content about seasonal decor and trends. What are we seeing in trends for the holidays? Those sorts of things. Answer those commonly asked questions. You're out with a client and they ask you a question at lunch, make a note of it. Create content around it. Go behind the scenes as your life as an agent. What's it like to be out prepping for whether it's getting a listing or putting together the open house or staging for something? Showcase what that's like to do that behind the scenes so future clients know what to expect when they work with you. And your personal life to a point. We are not going to overly do this. We don't want to kill it with all the details of our personal life, but the more you showcase about you as an individual and a human, the more people are going to connect with you. Hiring a realtor is a very personal investment. I'm going to work with you every single day until this project is done. I need to know that we like each other. And the more you share on social media about your life as a person, as a human, as a parent, as a community involved advocate, all these things help me connect with you and know that you're the right person for me. So here's a couple examples of what that looks like. This example on the left from Ricky, he did the video quality on this is actually horrible. It's super shaky. It's not super in focus, but he's walking through talking about the architecture and design of this Joseph Eichler's development or designed home. And it's very informational. It's super relative. And he's like super geeky about this stuff. So the video quality is not great, but it's super valuable to his audience. This example here from Andrew was when he went to the LGBTQ plus housing policy symposium. So he's talking about things that matter to him. He's showcasing a part of his life that is relatable, and it's going to attract the right clients. It's going to make sure the right people find you. All right, I want to talk about direct messages because this is super important. Over the last year, this has become incredibly valuable. Most people are not thinking about direct messages as part of their social media strategy, especially on Instagram. But Instagram is all in on DMs. And when Meta tells us to do, we say, okay. Remember back in the day when Facebook said you had to have a Facebook group and we all started Facebook groups? Well, if you didn't, you should have. Instagram DMs is your chance not to miss the boat. They're telling us, be in the DMs. Yes, okay, we'll be in the DMs. So they want us there. They're adding more features. They keep creating more and more ways to do things within DMs and more ways to initiate DMs. So we want to make sure we're taking advantage of this because direct messages indicate a personal relationship and they improve your algorithmic placement. If you and I have a conversation, meaning if you respond to one of my stories, that opens up an Instagram DM. It's now a conversation, but it's a one-way conversation. Once I reply and say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you like that, we're married. In the world of Instagram, we're basically married. It's created this one-on-one relationship where Instagram goes, oh, you two have a personal connection, therefore you must really want to see Jen Herman's content. So the next time Jen Herman posts, her content's going to be higher in your feed so that you are more likely to see the content from me because you clearly care about me. So we want to make sure that you are taking advantage of this and opening up as many opportunities as possible for direct messages so that your audience is having conversations with you, conversations, not a one-way dialogue, conversations back and forth, so that you are ranking higher in their feeds. So ways that we can do this: use calls to action that drive direct messages. Instead of saying click on the link in bio, which is great for evergreen content. You want to sign up for my newsletter? Click on the link in my bio because it's always going to be there. But it's doing something like comment link below and we'll send you the link. So for example, this webinar, if I'm saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this webinar, if you want to attend, comment link below and I'll send you the link. I don't want them to go to link in bio and have to update my whole page for a one-time webinar. I can just send them the direct link in a DM. Do the same thing. Interested in the open house? Comment below and I'll send you the details. Or if you've got something coming up in your community, you're doing a webinar, you're doing a lunch and learn, comment below and I'll send you the details. It's a great way to open up the dialogue. Or alternatively, you can say, send me a DM and we'll send you the info. So they're saying, okay, like I want to know, I'll send you the DM and then you're going to reply with the information. Either way opens up a direct message conversation. You can also do this for stories. Reply to this story if you want to know more. Reply if you want the information. Reply if you want the details. The moment someone replies to your story, boom, it's a direct message, and now you can respond. Now, when someone does actually send you a direct message, please, please, please actually be responsive. Answer their questions. If they've taken the time to ask you a question, answer them. Now, this is not spam. If we're getting the stupid spam things, block, delete, it's fine. I'm not saying you have to respond to everybody, but if this is a legitimate, interested person, make sure you're answering their questions. Provide the requested information that they're asking you for. Take the time to build relationships and conversations. Just because somebody sent you a DM saying, yes, I'd like to know more about that open house, does not mean we go in with the hard sell. It means, great, here's the information. We'll be there from 11 to 2. I look forward to seeing you. Please make sure to find me and say hi. I would love to actually meet you in person. Let it go. They show up at the open house. If they didn't connect with you at the open house, feel free to send a follow-up. Hey, we didn't see you at the open house. You know, if you're still interested in other upcoming open houses, let me know and I'll make sure to keep you in the loop. Or if you want to get on my email list, feel free to sign up here. You can start to move them into the funnel a little bit more without being overly pushy right off the bat. And when possible, personalize those responses with names and even use audio or video. So rather than just being like, thanks, here's the information, be like, thanks, Sue, so glad you're interested. Here's the link to sign up. Or sending an audio. It's like, hey, Jim, I'm so glad you're excited about the open house. It's going to be a gorgeous day. It's going to make the property look amazing. Please feel free to stop by. I'm going to text the information below. It lets them know that you actually got the message. It's not your associate. It's not your intern. It's not some automated bot that's just dropping out all these responses, but it's you taking the time to interact with them, and it can level up that engagement and relationship building with that person. So ultimately, I want to end you with this concept that Instagram is worth it. It can be hard. I can talk strategy for the next 6 hours, probably 8 if I really wanted to, no problem. But it's also important to remember that as much as we talk about strategy and as much as it sounds like it can be a lot of work, it's not just posting pretty photos. It really is worth it. When you're optimizing your Instagram profile for success, when you're getting that profile, all the 5 components we talked about set up, when you're creating the content that appeals to your target audience, you're putting all this together, you are going to drive more leads, and that's going to lead to more closings. It's going to get you where you want to go as a realtor. Your audience is on Instagram. They are there. You absolutely can be successful on Instagram. We want to set up that profile for success. Keep it personal and valuable. It's not just about shoving open house listings and new property listings at them. It's about making it personal and valuable to the person on the other end. Their buying window is a very short time period. So if they're not buying right now and all you're talking about what's available on the market right now, you're not of value to them. So we want to make sure that we're creating value all year round, all the time. And ultimately, remember to have fun. If you aren't having fun, your audience knows it. And Instagram is a fun platform. It doesn't mean you need to throw, caution to the wind and just post with reckless abandon. No, we don't want to do that. But have fun. Show the personal light side of who you are. We will talk more about this in next week's session. So I hope all of you will be able to attend that session as well, because we're going to dive a lot deeper into stories and reels and feed and carousel posts so that you get a really good understanding of how to create that content that resonates with your audience. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me today. I'm going to leave this screen up here for just a minute. This is where you can find me pretty much everywhere on the web. If you scan that QR code, it will sign you up for my free newsletter, which goes out the first Wednesday of every month. I will not bombard your inbox because I don't have enough time to create that many emails. So once a month, I send an email that outlines all the Instagram updates from the previous month, plus all the other big social media news and a bunch of other resources. And in case you missed it and things going on in the industry that I think might be valuable to you. It's not just for the real estate industry, but it is a very valuable resource. People love the newsletter. So feel free to sign up for that. It is a double opt-in, so you have to say yes, you want it, and then we'll send you an email, and then you can actually get in. So sorry for the double opt-in, but GDPR and all those regulations. So feel free to sign up for that and connect with me anywhere else you want. You can connect me on Instagram, Jens_Trends. I also have a free Facebook group called Jens Trends in Social Media if you search that on Facebook. I've also got a real estate course, Instagram for realestate.jenstrends.com, which is dedicated to Instagram for the real estate industry. It is 8 modules over 6 hours of content that will walk you through pretty much everything you need to know about using Instagram for real estate. And I also have a membership program that's a live program that we do 4 live sessions, basically 1 live session every week. We have myself and a guest expert, so 2 live trainings every month. We've brought in some amazing guest experts over the years in both the real estate industry and beyond, including from Microsoft, Meta, and a number of other very large organizations, celebrity TV chefs, all that sort of stuff. So that's profityourprofile.com if you want to learn more about that. All right. So while you are doing that, I'm going to pop over here and I'm just going to check through the chat really quick. Just making sure we have, I have the Q&A. I'm going to get to this just a second. I want to make sure there was nothing that I missed in the actual chat really quick. And I think we are all good there. Okay. So Q&A, I am going to stop sharing. I want to be able to see this much more clearly. And I want to make sure that you can see me answering your questions. All right. So Jamelia, I believe it is, said, so Jen has her title as entrepreneur instead of real estate. That's appropriate for to use another you may have instead of your real estate title. So I am not a real estate professional, so I am not using the real estate category. Here's the thing. Instagram is quirky. I do not recommend you use the entrepreneur category because you are not an entrepreneur. You are a real estate agent. And it should say real estate. That being said, if you are a business profile, so there's 2 types of professional accounts. There's business and there's creator. If you are a business profile, you do not get the good music. You get royalty-free music. You don't get pop culture music unless you use the entrepreneur category. So a lot of people will use the entrepreneur category as a business account as a means of getting the good music. Now, that being said, there is another alternative. You can be a creator account. So if you're already a professional business account, you can switch to a creator account. When you switch to a creator account, there is some version of a real estate category, but I don't think it's exactly real estate. I can't remember what it is because they do change them. But you can go in and look and see what category you can be, or you can just not list your category. You don't have to list it. You can turn that off so you can choose whatever category you want and just make it so it's not visible. But if you go in as a creator, all creator accounts get the popular music. So you're not limited to the music. And as of, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe 6 months ago. I'm not very good with time and space. And then when it comes to this, I'm like, it was like last week. People are like, Jen, that was 3 months ago. So I want to say sometime in the last 6 months, Instagram has now rolled out the functionality where creator accounts also can use third-party tools. So it used to be only business accounts could use third-party tools. And when I talk about this, I'm talking about scheduling tools, or like tools for using insights and that sort of thing. That was reserved for only the business accounts. But as of now, creator accounts can use these as well. So there's no disadvantage to switching to a creator account. So if you wanted to switch to creator to get access to all the popular music, I would recommend doing that. Or you can go to business, stay on business, switch to entrepreneur, but then hide the category. We don't want people to see that you're listing yourself as an entrepreneur. I realize that was a lot to unpack in one answer, but it is very complicated. It's not a simple answer. So Jamila popped in, thank you so much. I'm a business owner that is not directly related to real estate. Yes, absolutely. So if you wanted to focus on that case, then you could absolutely say you're an entrepreneur. If you're doing it kind of part-time, or you're not defining yourself exclusively as a real estate professional, then you can absolutely consider using entrepreneur and leaving that on there. So Siddiqa said, action buttons are limited. How can I add a call action button? So I'm not sure if you're saying call to action or as a call, like to call, but when you go into your profile, you go to edit profile, you can edit your contact buttons. You get call, text, email, and directions. Those are the 4 contact buttons. There are other action items that they have on there, but they are very limited. It's literally like make a reservation, which is for restaurants, order now, like for certain things. There is a lead option button. You can put a lead form on your profile. This is super valuable for real estate agents if you have the option. So it's not something that's actually, it's widely rolled out, but when Instagram widely rolls something out, they don't actually give it to everybody. And this was one of those ones that did not get widely rolled out. It was like a half rollout. So there is the option to add a lead page to your profile. And that's where if you go to my profile and you click on learn more, it's going to take you through a lead form. So that is something you can set up. And I'm going to really, really super quickly look and see if I can show you where that is. So if you go to Instagram and you're going to go to your profile and you're going to go to edit profile and you are going to go to action buttons. So you're going to scroll all the way down. And you're going to have public business information where it's got page, category, contact options. Below that is an action buttons. When you tap on that, you're going to get the option to and this has changed, which is why I look at these things, because it used to be a totally separate button. Now you have the order food, book now, reserve, or learn more. When you go to the learn more option, it's going to take you through how to set up a lead form. If you do not see it, do not come at me. Like I said, it's not something everybody has. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. You can't just get it. It's not something you're going to refresh your account and it's going to pop up. Instagram has selectively rolled out to half the population and not the other half. So you can try that. Hopefully that will help. And so Siddiqa, I see your question follow up on that. The order, book now, reserve, learn more. The learn more is the one you want to use. That is 100% going to be the lead form. So if you've got that option, girl, use it. Go all in. Kristen Davenport, oh, she said, thank you. Okay, great. Oh, Siddiqa is saying, don't see the call button under the real estate. So you should have, again, if you're going into the, let me go back in here. Edit profile, go down. So contact options. So again, you have public business information, page, category, contact options. When you tap on that, it's going to show you, it's going to show your email, your business phone number, business address. You can add Instagram audio calling and WhatsApp business phone number. So you have to go in and you have to add them. If you don't have them in there, you have to add them, but it's kind of like buried inside, like you have to go down further to get in there and get access to it. So hopefully that helps with all of that. Okay, so that's everything in my Q&A. I'm going back over here to the chat. Okay, so Noelle popped in with, how do I set up a link tree and do you think that's necessary? So I don't recommend, like I said, if you came in late, Noelle, I'm sorry, but we did talk about this and having the alternative to Linktree. So Linktree is a third-party tool. You absolutely can use it. You can go to Linktree, like just Google Linktree, and it will take you to their website. There's also like Linkin, I think it's like linkin.bio or something is like another one. It's like a Linkin Bio solution. Just go to their websites and it will set up that page for you if you want to use those third-party tools. Otherwise, we want to use the tools that I talked about where you can build that on your own website. We want you to retain that traffic and have all the retargeting capabilities in those. So we want to make sure that you're using that and optimizing that on your own website, ideally over using a third-party tool. But if you want to use Linktree, 100% super common. Just go Google Linktree and it will take you right through the steps of setting it up. Make sure you're going to Linktree, not some other, because if you Google it, you're going to probably get 2 or 3 sponsored ones that are not Linktree. I trust Linktree and I trust Linkin Bio. There's a lot of other ones out there that are very reputable as well, but I don't necessarily work with them or know them as well. So that would be my recommendation. All right. That is at the top of the hour, and I don't see any other questions that have popped in. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. I hope this was valuable for you, and I really hope that you'll come back next week because we're going to talk about all the content next week, like Reels, all the things you're going to want to learn. We're going to talk about stories, content, and feed posts, and what to do with your content for success on Instagram. So I really hope you'll come hang out with me again next week. Same time, same place. We will be here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. It was wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, everybody.